Hello and welcome to my no shell run guide for Mortal Shell. This guide is focused around getting 3 achievements. The Nihilist, where you'll need to renounce humankind, which turns your character into Obsidian Dark form. Life is Suffering, where you'll need to beat the final boss while in Obsidian Dark form. And Forever Alone, where you'll need to complete a playthrough without ever inhabiting a shell. Now before I get into it, please make sure you remember that if you find this video useful at all, hit that like button, and for any future content like this, click subscribe. Alright, let's jump right into it. So the first thing I should mention is that I will be using the Martyr's Blade for this entire run. This is because it is a very easy weapon to stagger the bosses with, and it also does the most damage per hit. It is really slow, but all bosses do have a good window of time for you to get attacks off in. There's a good argument for the fact that the Hollowed Sword is the better option here, but those strategies usually involve using the Mechanical Spike ability, which costs 2 resolve bars, meaning the best way to use these strategies is to use a resolve item such as Moonshine or a Golden Bell. Now if you're here for this guide, it's probably because you're having trouble with the bosses and using items isn't really a viable option, because once you use an item, it's gone forever, even if you die. So the Martyr's Blade is, in my opinion, the best weapon for all bosses if using items is not an option. And just for the sake of completeness, in separate videos I might also do no-shell boss fight guides with every weapon. Alright, so let's get into the roadmap of what I'll be doing in this run, in what order. To start off, I'll be getting the Obsidian Dark form. This will get you the Nihilist achievement and also give your character a different look. Then I'll be running to the Martyr's Crypt, or the Ice Zone, to get the Martyr's Blade. While I'm here, I'll get a Quenching Acid, which is used to upgrade the Martyr's Blade. After that, before I fight any bosses or do anything else in the Martyr's Crypt, I'll leave and start running to the Shrine of Ash, or the Fire Zone. On the way, I'll grab another Quenching Acid at a campsite in Fulgrim. While I'm in the Shrine of Ash, I'll get the 2 Quenching Acids there, and upgrade the Martyr's Blade to +4 at the anvil that's there, before fighting Imrod and running back to turn the gland in at Fulgrim Tower. During this time at Fulgrim, I will get another Quenching Acid and upgrade the Martyr's Blade to +5, which is the max that it can be in one playthrough. At this point, it's very simple. Run back to the Martyr's Crypt, defeat Tarsus, and then run the gland back. Then run to the Seat of Infinity, or the Rock Zone, defeat Crucix, and run the gland back. Then fight the final boss, the Unchained, and get the final 2 achievements, Life is Suffering and Forever Alone. So the first thing I'm going to do as soon as I leave the tutorial is run to the Hidden Altar to turn on Obsidian Dark form. On the way there, make sure you avoid the bear traps and the poisonous frogs. The bear traps won't kill you, thankfully, but they're very annoying. The poisonous frogs will kill you, as you'll see in a bit. So it was a frog that just killed me right there. There's a few places like this throughout the game, and I usually try my best to avoid them. So since I died, I got sent back to the beginning, but that's okay because I needed to backtrack a bit anyway. So then next, I'm just running to the Fulgrim Tower and talking to Ganessa, which will act as the first checkpoint. On your way there, just dodge roll around any enemies that you see.
You're an adult. Together we will find glimpses of what makes them human.
Next, I'll head off to the Martyr's Crypt to get the Martyr's Blade. The first thing you notice here is that I take sort of a shortcut. I think it's the fastest way to get around to this area. I'm not exactly sure. You could always just run around front if you want to. But just make sure here that you harden before you hit the ground, otherwise you will die from fall damage, which is very annoying. Otherwise, just follow the same path that I'm taking and you'll get there. The first thing I'll do in the Martyr's Crypt is read the book, which will start the fight with Hadern. Defeat him to get the Martyr's Blade. To win this fight, you really only need to know one trick. Get close to bait out his harden attack, and then when that attack ends, hit him with one of your running heavy attacks, and harden his next attack, and get a few light attacks in before rolling away. Then just rinse and repeat, and win. After the fight, make sure you grab the Martyr's blade from the statue. Next, I'll get the first quenching acid. It's just a little ways inside a chest next to a sleeping enemy. Since I don't want to go any further into the crypt, it's perfectly acceptable to die right after getting it. Now leave the Martyr's crypt to start heading towards the Shrine of Ash. On the way, I'll pick up another quenching acid in a chest at a campsite.
You're unadorable. When you together, we will find glimpses of what makes them human.
So the goal here for now is to grab the 2 quenching acids before upgrading the Martyr's blade to +4. They're both inside Iron Maidens. The second one is inside sort of a shortcut area behind closed doors. Once the second door is opened, it's okay to die so that you're just brought back to the first Ganessa where there's an anvil to upgrade the Martyr's blade with.
When you together we will find glimpses of...
After upgrading the Martyr's Blade to +4, you can run through that shortcut area straight to the last Ganessa before fighting the boss.
When you find a mortal shell, shepherd, together we will find glimpses of what makes them human.
Alright, so Imrod is the easiest boss in the game. His attacks are very slow, so it's easy to get a heavy attack in after one of his attacks. Always go for a running heavy attack followed by a light attack or two before you need to dodge away. If you get off 2 heavy attacks relatively quickly, he'll stagger so you can do more damage. Make sure you watch out for his fire breath attack since it will cause you to take burn damage, which will kill you. In his second phase, the only thing that really changes is that he will start to kick you when you get close. This doesn't deal any damage, so it actually ends up being a good thing because afterwards he'll try to pick up a body to light on fire and then throw at you, and this takes up enough time so that you can get enough attacks in to stagger him and deal a ton of damage. After you get the gland, it's time for the fun part, the run back to Fulgrim Tower. Inside the Shrine of Ash, I think the only thing you really need to worry about is the ghosts. If you see one disappear, start spamming the dodge button immediately because it means it's going to do a sneak attack on you. When you reach the Ganessa at the start of the zone, it's a checkpoint.
When you together, we will find glimpses of what makes them human.
Once you start running through the Fulgrim area, you'll notice there are a ton of vampire-like creatures. They're generally easy to dodge, except in one spot, one will drop from the sky when you're least expecting it. Just make sure that during this time, you're in the middle of a dodge to avoid dying. During this time is also where I will be getting the 5th and final quenching acid. In this run, I actually got the one in the frog chest near the Fulgrim Tower. The reason why I didn't get this before is because this chest is only available while you're holding a gland, so I needed to beat the boss first. However, a safer option would have been to use the nascent tar that dropped from Imrod to gain 2500 tar and buy the last acid from Vlas. Another option would have been to get both of these acids and skip the one in the Martyr's Crypt. However, that would have meant that my Martyr's Blade would have only been +3 for the Imrod fight.
Shall we? I'll gladly accept any tar as payment.
Whichever quenching acids you decided to get, you should now be able to upgrade your Martyr's Blade to +5. Do so, and then turn in the gland to the prisoner before heading back to the Martyr's Crypt.
You found it. Careful now. Once you return with another sacred gland, I will
When together, we will find glimpses of what makes them human.
Once you get to the Martyr's Crypt and run past a few vampire things and sword guys, you'll come to a fight with the Enslaved Grisha. As soon as the fight starts, he'll roar and then do a sort of dive attack at you. Stay towards the beginning of the arena to dodge the attack and punish him. Just like Imrod, if you get off 2 running heavy attacks relatively quickly, he'll stagger so you can do more damage. I like to stay further away from him and do a running heavy attack after one of his combos. The only thing you really need to watch out for is icicles falling from the ceiling. Sometimes when he does an attack that hits the floor, one will fall, which can kill you. Also, don't be like me and die to a falling icicle after the fight. Which is totally fine because the Grisha was already dead anyway. After talking to the next Ganessa, the first thing you're going to want to do is jump off the side of the cliff. Yep, it's a skip to the end of the zone. It's actually surprisingly easy to do, just make sure you don't harden until you can see the ground or else you'll fall too fast and die.
When you find a mortal shell, shepherd them to me. Together we will find glimpses of what makes them human.
So then next up is the fight with Tarsus. So this fight is a little bit more complicated, especially in his second phase, so I'll go a little bit more in depth with all of his attacks. The fight starts with him doing a quick sliding slash attack. Just listen for the sound and dodge at the right time. He'll do this either 2 or 3 times. When that's over, he'll disappear and then reappear right in front of you, followed by a 2-attack combo. It's also worth mentioning that anytime he disappears, he'll always reappear right in front of you and do that same attack. So make sure to face forward whenever you see him disappear. So here's the attack you need to look out for. 2 horizontal slashes followed by an overhead slash. After the overhead slash, hit him with a running heavy attack followed by a light attack to stagger him. Sometimes he disappears at the same time you stagger him, which messes with the targeting a little bit, but you can still attack him. Sometimes he'll throw his sword at you and then quickly attack you. Dodge the throw, then harden the quick attack to get off a running heavy attack and stagger him. The one other move to look out for in the first phase is his AoE. You'll know he's doing it when he stabs his sword into the ground. When he does this, don't do a running heavy attack. Instead, do 5 light attacks to stagger him. Also, don't get too close to the edge of the arena or the icy fog or whatever it is will kill you. In the second phase, you'll need to be more careful and keep your distance more since he has an almost instant attack that will kill you, as you see here. Generally, if he's not staggered or in the middle of an attack, you should harden or dodge away just to avoid this attack. If he's doing his weird walk towards you where he leaves a trail of snow at his feet, he usually does this until you get close and try to attack. Then he goes straight into a single lunge attack that you can easily dodge and follow up with a running heavy attack. Make sure to harden after your heavy attack to see what he does next. Make sure it's safe to keep attacking. This means you should make sure your harden isn't on cooldown when you go in for a heavy attack. With this combo, he'll end with an overhead attack. This is another one that's safe to get in a heavy attack after. Again, you'll want to harden just to see what he does next. He also has a double lunge combo. I usually dodge the first lunge and then harden the second lunge because it can be unpredictable. Sometimes he holds it longer than other times, and also the hitbox on the sword seems to be a little bit off. So after hardening that second lunge, roll away so he doesn't kill you with his quick attack. If he starts swinging his sword around like this, he's about to do his AoE attack. If you think you can stagger him before he casts it, go for it. Otherwise, just run away until the icicles disappear. Alright, so that's all of his attacks. Now, due to the unpredictability and inconsistency of his attacks, Tarsus is probably the hardest boss in the game in my opinion. It will take some time to get used to the fight, but just keep practicing these tactics and you'll beat him. After you get the gland, it's time for one of the most annoying runs in the game. First, there are certain spots where icicles will fall on you, so make sure to dodge while you run through them. You'll be able to hear the sound. The absolute most annoying things in this run are the ghosts and their AoE icicle attack. It has an incredibly long range and it will hit you even through your dodge. It didn't happen to me on this run, but you'll know what I'm talking about. If you see a ghost casting, just harden and hope for the best. I've found that if you follow the exact path that I take here and go quickly, they will rarely actually cast a spell since they get ready for a melee attack instead. Towards the end, you'll run into more vampire things. Keep in mind that if they kick you, it doesn't do any damage, so it won't kill you. The final door does take a while to open, so once you get there, open it and then harden, which should give you enough time. This might also be a good time to mention that if you talk to Ganessa, it doesn't reset the enemies like it does when you do have a shell. However, if you die, it will bring you back to the last Ganessa you talked to with the enemies reset. Also, restarting the game would have the same effect. After this, it's a relatively easy run back to Fulgrim Tower.
When you find them, together we will find glimpses of what makes them human. When you find a mortal together we will find glimpses.
What a relief. I feared you might never return. Or worse, that you've been led astray. Now, bring it here.
After you turn the gland in, it's time to go get the final gland at the Seat of Infinity, or the Rock Zone.
Together we will find glimpses of what makes them.
Once here, you'll need to activate 3 torches to get to the next Ganessa. Take the teleporter on the left side. The one on the right side is meant to be used for after you beat the boss on the gland run back. When you activate the middle torch, ghosts appear, so immediately start dodging to go to the torch on the right. The main thing you need to watch out for in this area is the archer ladies. Just dodge whenever one sees you and you're in line of sight. After I got the second torch here, I actually died on purpose because it's a pretty high chance of dying here anyway, and I think it's also faster to get to the next one, but it's okay because the torch has been activated. For the last torch, as you can see, it's surrounded by archers. Obviously it's not too big of a deal because I just ran and dodged right through anyway, but just something to watch out for. So after you activate that last torch, start running up to the next Ganessa.
Together.
Now this is another really annoying run. For the most part, you can run right through, except you need to really pay attention to the archers. The annoying part is that a few of them don't seem to spawn in the same spot every time, so you need to know exactly where they'll be and look for them. And besides that, it's just a really long run anyway, so dying towards the end is really bad. It took me quite a bit of tries to really nail down the path to get to the run that I'm showing you here, so do the same and you should be fine. I should also mention that the ghosts in this area aren't nearly as bad as in the ice area because their AoE attack doesn't have nearly as much range. However, they do sometimes disappear and do a sneak attack, so watch out for this and dodge when it happens. One trick to get around the archers is to run right into them before running past. When you hear the little clicking sound, it means they're switching to a melee attack, which gives you some time to keep running before they switch back to their range stance and start to shoot more arrows. If you don't have enough time to do that, you can always harden their arrows. Their range attacks will never break your harden, and they shoot their arrows in groups of 3.
When you find a mortal shell, shepherd them to me. Together we will find glimpses of what makes them human.
Alright, so the Crucix fight is up next. When you drink the Kool-Aid or whatever it is, you'll drop through the floor. Harden in mid-air or you will die. He'll start the fight with a shield rush. Dodge backwards and punish with a heavy attack and stagger him. As soon as he staggers, his little twin thing will start shooting arrows at you in groups of 3, just like those archer ladies. Harden through this to be safe. It is possible to dodge through the 3 arrows, but it's really easy to mess it up and die. Otherwise, you need to watch for when he raises his spear up and does a 3 attack combo. After the spear thrust, go for the running heavy attack. When he gets to about half HP in that first phase, he'll start to do an attack where he jumps backwards, then up, shoots arrows, and then dives at you. You'll want to save your Harden for this attack. Because of this, you should avoid staggering him. After his spear thrust, do only 1 running heavy attack and save your Harden for the dive attack. If you do get caught without a Harden in this dive attack, it's fairly easy to dodge through it, but again, it's also pretty easy to mess up. In the second phase, his little twin is dead, so you don't have to worry about arrows being shot at you when he staggers. This makes him a little bit easier. Stay back at about spear thrust range and wait for his attack that makes your seal glow. During this combo, he'll hit the ground twice with his axe and then kick. You want to get hit by the kick. After he kicks you, he lets out a roar and gives you enough time to go in and stagger him. Just repeat this until he dies. Once you get the gland, it's time for the final run back before the last boss. This is another fairly easy run. There's just one challenging part where you face a wall of archers that I'll talk about when I get there. Essentially, just run up as far as you can before they start shooting arrows and then harden. Wait for the first round of 3 from each of them and then continue while spamming the dodge button. After that, follow the path that I take back to Fulgrim. This hole here at the end is actually an elevator. On my previous attempt, I had actually died there, so the elevator was still at the bottom. I just hardened through the fall and it was okay.
have thought one so naive could endure such hardship to deliver this final plan? Yet, it is I who will ascend, and not those who are worshipped.
Alright, it's time for the final boss, the Unchained. He'll start the fight with his long-range swipe attack. Dodge to the side at the right moment, then get off a running heavy attack. Dodge backwards for his next close-range attack, then get another running heavy attack in. This will stagger him, but be careful not to be too close when he falls down after he staggers, because this can kill you. Keep attacking until he gets up. If he jumps backwards and waves start coming at you, dodge roll through them. There will be 2 waves and then he'll do another long range swipe attack for you to dodge before hitting him with another running heavy attack. Try to get through the waves as quickly as possible. If you fail to roll through them, you will die. When he gets a little way below half health, he'll dive underwater and create a whirlpool. During this time, minions are summoned. If a minion gets sucked into the whirlpool, he'll gain health. So the natural reaction is to try to kill as many minions as possible so he doesn't heal, but this can be pretty inconsistent due to the motion of the whirlpool. So what I tend to do is to just sit back and only go for the ones on the outer edge. But for the most part, just let it happen because it's the safer option. When he gets back up out of the water, it's the same fight as before. When he jumps back, he may slam his other wing into the ground to summon more minions that chase after you. And what you want to do here is to kite them around a bit until you can kill multiple with one swing. But keep in mind that the boss will still sometimes do his long range swipe attack. Because of this, you should always keep your eye on him and be ready to dodge. You can tell he's going to do a long range swipe attack when he jumps backwards. Sometimes he'll dive underwater again and then float in the air a bit before slamming down on top of you. Just harden through this attack and then punish with a running heavy attack. He may do his roll after this, so keep your distance. Keep continuing to hit him with running heavy attacks after his long range swipe until he dies. After he goes down, the game is over and you'll get the Life is Suffering and Forever Alone achievements. Nice work.
I glimpsed this moment over and over. Am I now to witness your ascension? Or will you shepherd me across the threshold? I see nothing now. Nothing at all.